He said, she said. Hillary slammed Trump yesterday. Today, the Donald fires back, calling her, among other things, a liar, essentially calling her a thief and more. We were there live, and we will tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then our panel of attorneys here to discuss the allegations that Trump is making and discuss whether they're all smoke and no fire. Actually, they've got legal merit. And the High Court ruling that could give police broad powers of search and seizure. The question is, did they go too far? Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thanks so much for joining us this Wednesday night. Well, Donald Trump, he comes home to New York and he blasts Hillary Clinton at a speech at the Trump Soho Hotel this very morning. And none other than our own Dominic Carter was there.
A day after Hillary Clinton delivered a blistering attack, Donald Trump returned fire.
Hillary Clinton, and as you know, most people know, she's a world-class liar.
Trump has had a bruising week of his own negative headlines, but this is a chance to go on the offensive, charging the Clintons greatly profited off of their public service.
She gets rich, making you poor.
Trump faces growing questions about his readiness for the presidency. He hopes to rally Republicans around their shared opposition to Clinton. This line drew a standing ovation.
Maybe her motivation lies among the more than 1,000 foreign donations Hillary failed to disclose while at the State Department. Hillary Clinton may be the most corrupt person ever to seek the presidency of the United States.
And he painted Clinton as a failed Secretary of State who was out of step with Americans on trade, immigration, and put ISIS on her watch.
ISIS threatens us today because of the decisions Hillary Clinton has made along with President Obama. ISIS also threatens peaceful Muslims across the Middle East and peaceful Muslims across the world who have been terribly victimized by horrible brutality and who only want to raise their kids in peace and safety. In short, Hillary Clinton's tryout for the presidency has produced one deadly foreign policy disaster after another. One by one, they're all bad. She's virtually done nothing right. She's virtually done nothing good. It all started with her bad judgment in supporting the war in Iraq in the first place.
Just this week, Trump fired his campaign manager, and then came the shocking news that he has only $1.3 million on hand for a national campaign with very little staff. It's been a rough week for Mr. Trump. Are you willing to concede that?
No, it's been a great week for him, actually. He might have been a rough prior 2 weeks, but I think this has been a very good week for Mr. Trump. I think that he's been extremely focused this week, and what he did today was absolutely incredible. He delivered an unbelievable speech. He couldn't have looked more presidential. He was very specific.
All right, let's bring in our panel. A lot to chew over here. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, and Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. I'm going to steal Andrew's line that we were saying as we were watching that. Pot, meat, kettle. Talking about the trustworthiness or the claims of not being truthful enough. But nonetheless, forget the PolitiFact looked at this and they tore the thing up to shreds. You've seen it scripted, unscripted. You've seen him throw the raw meat out, and you've seen him try to be more presidential as much as that was today. Is this better, this version of Trump, than what we saw? Granted, he's got in trouble the last couple of weeks, but is it better when he's on script than when he's not?
I'm really glad you asked that. Here's why. So you can see the teleprompters today. He's on prompter, but guess what? He still goes off message. So, and in fairness to Trump, many elected officials do. They won't follow word for word, or the prompter is not following them, so they have to ad-lib so that you don't know that it's stopped. So he goes off message, Richard, even with a prompter in front of him, and still does what he wants to do. What I found interesting today, first, if you're a strong backer of the First Amendment, it's not a good thing with either one of these candidates or campaigns. We are so removed from the candidates, like 3 different layers.
Yep.
And the secrets you have, and so you could see that his campaign is in trouble because it was only basically his kids and maybe 20, 30, 40 supporters. And then the rest were reporters. But we're so cordoned off from him,
yep.
You can't get him and Hillary. You can't get anywhere near them.
You know, last night we were having a conversation on a different level where we're looking at the poll numbers. One of the only areas where Hillary trailed Trump was on jobs, economy, or whatever. And she went into a detailed takedown yesterday, similar to what she did on foreign policy in California a few weeks back. Arguably, he did the same page, took the same page out of the playbook, which is he went after her for her temperament. He kept talking about the today, her trustworthiness, all the things where people question him. Nobody can trust this guy. What's real? What's a carnival barker? And then the idea that this guy does not have a temperament to be trusted with his hands in the economy to take her line or his finger on the nuclear button. Was he successful?
I think he was a little bit successful. I think he performed well, and he's getting better with the prompter, and he will get better at the prompter. But my read on it was this: Hillary's 2 attack speeches on Trump have been aimed towards the undecided middle, the independents. It was an aggressive speech trying to gain new voters and trying to play towards that middle. The sense that I got from Trump's speech today is that he was playing to his own base. He's still trying to shore up the leaking boat that he's got and he's been rowing around for the last couple of weeks. And so this was a speech aimed at them, bringing the Republicans back on board and trying to staunch the damage to his own campaign.
And so he doesn't have a revolt in Cleveland.
Right. So I don't think he gained a lot of votes today through what he did. He might have helped solidify his own position within the party and his place in the campaign, but I don't think he really made inroads against Clinton today. I don't think a lot of people, and Dom, you would know better than I would, having been there the whole time, I don't think a lot of undecided voters are going to look at that speech today and say, yeah, I'm going Trump instead of Clinton.
I agree with Andrew's assessment completely. He was playing to the base. What I guess he's also trying to do is change the narrative. Yeah. He's had an awful week. And what he's basically, Richard, saying is, hey, Hillary Clinton, she's not squeaky clean. Don't forget that.
We're going to get into some of the things that he said today. I mentioned PolitiFact. That's basically where guys like us go to see what is true that's been alleged versus what's completely untrue. And I'll get into that with the legal team as to if there's any recourse, or can you make up whatever you want about your candidate? It doesn't matter in a political season. But a couple other events here before I lose you guys. First off, tomorrow, Bernie Sanders in New York. You're going to be there. It's a coming together kind of thing. We don't know what that means yet, whether he's going to say, I'm with Hillary, let's keep behind Team Hillary, or that they have shared goals or whatever. What do you expect tomorrow? Does he throw in the towel or not?
Well, I'm glad that you said up front that we don't know what's going to happen, because that's the honest answer. Conventional wisdom says, Bernie, it's over. I endorse Hillary. I'm with Team Hillary. That's what conventional wisdom says. But frankly, you know, he's still an angry old man.
And
so
we've
who knows
expected
what
2 or 3 times that was going to happen.
We know the title of the speech is Where We Go From Here, which could either refer to the country or his campaign. So I'm guessing he's not getting out tomorrow.
Well,
Play this back tomorrow when I'm wrong.
Something that happened today, though, Andrew, we talked about guns a lot, especially since what happened in Orlando and so many of the times in this program before. There was a sit-in on the floor of Congress. There's no equivalent, obviously, to a filibuster that we have in the Senate in terms of the rules in the House, but nonetheless, basically shut down the House today's House Democrats.
And I think it's still going on. It started about 11:15 this morning, and there was no advance order, but here's a live look as they're still going on. Oh, sorry, this is a little while ago when the whole thing started this morning. But they've been talking all day demanding a vote on gun legislation, blocking any business on the House floor.
Do you think they get one?
I tend to think not. The House is much more partisan and much more controlled by the Speaker than the Senate is. But they're certainly making their case. The Democrats all over the country are going to make gun safety and gun control an issue in November.
And I think that could be as much of a headline as anything else that came out this week. Guys, thank you all very much. And, of course, we'll pick this up tomorrow. Coming up next, we'll bring in our panel of attorneys to unpack what the Donald said here, not about the politics of it, but about the allegations that he made and whether it makes a difference whether he told the truth or not.